Paul Mol, Global Transformation PMO Electrolux, the case study from this company. Paul, you're welcome and the stage is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Larissa. Before I dive into the subject, let me at least also express my appreciation to you guys, but especially to your team. We know that the FP&A team is situated in Ukraine. There's a lot of Ukrainian people there, and I was super impressed that although the disturbing time that we have in Ukraine, you and your team kept going. And I think this says something not only about your team, but about the Ukrainian people. And I think if I speak about on behalf of all of us, we really, your Ukrainian people are in our hearts, and we wish you all the strength that is needed in these very disturbing times. I just want to make sure that this key topic, which is now on the world stage, is not unmentioned. All right, then to the subject. Sorry, yeah, then to the subject. So here it says Paul Mol, Global Transformation PMO. Prior to this role, I was a global sourcing director here in Hong Kong, and there I had to deal on a day-to-day basis with supply chain issues. And in these supply chain issues, you often have to deal with one of the critical, actually economic questions that we all had in school, is how to deal with scarcity. And then the question is, in terms of the FP&A team, how we deal with scarcity and keep protecting the P&L of the companies, because that's the key of our role. And if we go to our next slide, I want to go first, give a little bit of context, right? So Electrolux ships about 55,000 containers a year. We negotiate the container prices ourselves, but we also organize the shipping ourselves. So we buy product from a supplier in mainland China, he brings it to the port, but the rest is organized by us. We ship about 25 million products. That's 4,000 different type of products. We got small ones where you can put about 2,000 in a container, and we got big ones where you can only put about 40 in one container. And I'll explain a little bit more why that is important. And for China, we pretty much use all the ports in China. And if you look at the next slide, what you'll see is that COVID happened, and that has a very impact on us. All of a sudden, the containers were not available anymore. The price of the containers went skyrocket 2-3 times higher. The products that we sell to our customers are our home appliances products, and they got an increase in demand. People stayed at home, so they wanted to have more of our products. And then on the ports, we got port congestions. Because of COVID, ports could not be manned, so even if we would have containers, they would not be able to be shipped. And once they were shipped to, for instance, the US, they were not able to come back. So those are our key critical components that we needed to make a decision how to deal with the scarcity. And that ended up in a very practical question: what are we going to ship? What product will we ship? And looking at the next slide, that question needed to be answered based on quite some things that you needed to take in consideration. How many containers would you have available? Which port location would be open? But what is also the distance of that port location towards a factory? If I can ship from North China, but the factory location is in South China, it doesn't make sense to ship goods there. What happened to the container cost? And the impact can be very different from product to product. If a container would go from $4,000 to $12,000, for a small product, that would have an impact of $4 per product in terms of landed cost. For a big product, that could actually be $200. And in our case, the cost for shipping became higher than the cost of the actual product that we had, which of course had a tremendous impact on the profitability of the product. Then if we look at cost, right, which cost do you need in these analysis? Do you take actuals or do you take standards? In the beginning, there was opposed to, hey guys, let's take standards because we need to make a quick decision. But we just came out of a situation where we had high increases of prices due to FX and raw material. So we needed to make actions to do the right calculation and take the right things in consideration. Then commercial. Are there any of these price increases that we can push to our customers? Are there customers that will charge us penalties if we don't ship to them? What is the relationship with that customer? Is the new customer that we really want to grow and we really want to ship to them? Or is it a customer which maybe is less important to us, that relationship? And of course, it's profitability, right? What product is more profitable than the others in order to make that decision what to ship or not to ship? But there are other things which are maybe not less evident. Seasonality. We had products that we needed to actually ship in a period between January and April, otherwise the season would be gone. These were air conditioners. And even if the profitability of the air conditioners was maybe a little bit lower than some of the other products, if we didn't ship them between January and April, we would miss the North American season. At the end of the day, there's a lot of things that we need to take in consideration. There's a lot of stakeholders that manage these things that we need to take in consideration, and there's a lot of decision takers. And then if you look at the data side of it, right, there's a lot of data that you need for in order to do a good analysis to get to the right conclusion. Loading quantities, port of locations, ETA, etc., etc. And these come from various data sources, but also various data owners. And in some companies, the data are still very much in silos. So what did we do in Electrolux? That's what I'm going to tell you in the next slide. In the next slide, we see that we actually managed it through people, and people. We filled tons of Excel sheets. Those Excel sheets were copied in multitude of PowerPoints that were sent out to people by emails that we also used to collect information. And we had team session after team session after team session. We did very well. We managed the crisis actually very, very well. But the fact that we did it in a very manual, people-orientated way had an impact on the speed and the quality of the decision taking. And I think that's the important thing, is what can we actually improve and what are we working on? And that's going to be shown in the next slide. The next slide shows it can be not only people alone. It needs to be a combination of people and systems. You need to make sure that your data is available, right? That you get the right data already available and you don't waste time on collecting it. You need to connect the dots. You need to understand what is the port and the factory location and how these things interconnect. What is the price of a container doing to the profitability of the product? What's the seasonality of the product? These dots you need to connect together with that data. And based on that, you can do scenario plannings. And also, why is this very, very important? And as I'm going to show you on the next slide. Because in my opinion, it will happen again. COVID is not a standalone thing. And by the way, it does. The global chip shortage, right, that now can last to 2023, we had a similar problem. Which chips was used in which product? Which product did we ask our suppliers to produce, so we can make the right decision in order to deal with it in a way that it protects the P&L. So here I think it was an example how within Electrolux we dealt with that critical question around economy. How do you deal with scarcity, and how do you deal it in a way that protects your P&L the best? And now what I would like to see is actually, how are you guys doing? What's the situation in your company in terms of the integration between the supply chain teams and the finance teams?